Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle, and I'm back again today to read some Law of One material and share my opinions on maybe what they mean and just sort of break it down a bit because they are always speaking in sort of this code, very specific language. So, hi, welcome back. Today is funny because I was sometimes, I'm not sure. I've been doing quite a lot of podcasts now for, try to do 2 or 3 a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I do that because if I keep the 3 in my mind as my intention, I will usually at least do 2 of them. However, I've been pretty good about keeping on this 3 a week thing. So, today it's sort of like, oh, I'm a little bit tired. I don't know what I want to talk about. Should I maybe skip today? And no, you better do it, right? But then it's funny because even though I don't have like a ton of energy to do it, what I ended up doing is I go through some of the quotes and look for a random one, or I just try to think of like a current lesson that's going on in my life and think of a quote that's in relation to that. And then I just found myself last night explaining some Law of One material to a friend who had never quite heard about this information. And I was explaining to them the creation of the universe. So, I went from not really wanting to talk too much to now I'm going to tell you how the universe was created. Oh, wow. Look at me. I'm feeling ambitious, I guess. So, okay, well, that being said, you understand what this podcast is going to be about, and I will just warn you that this is all kind of hard to understand anyways, but I'll do my best to, read what's here and sort of share with you the way I interpret it at least. So, starting with session 13.5, this is going to be from Raw. All this material can be found through links on my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, and there's links to the LL research material where you can download all this for free. And yeah, awesome. So let's begin. 13.5, this is from Raw, and I've just isolated the answers because the questioner is asking questions in between these answers, and they're basically just like, okay, can you please tell me the next step? So I've just made it easy and just sort of put them in order from the way that Raw answers them. Okay, so session 13.5, Raw begins. The first known thing in creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Infinity became aware. This was the next step. Awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. You have called this by various vibrational sound complexes, the most common to your ears being logos or love. The creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware or conscious principle called by us as closely as we can create understanding learning in your language, intelligent infinity. They continue on. The next step is still at this space-time nexus in your illusion, achieving its progression as you may see it in your illusion. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle following the law of one in one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus, many, many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. The energy moves from intelligent infinity due to the first outpouring of randomized creative force, this then creating patterns which in holographic style appear as the entire creation no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize their own local, shall we say, rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. End of quote. Okay, so maybe you weren't expecting to start your Friday with figuring out how we're all here and why we're all here. and I always kind of find talking about this one funny is because when you're younger or when just in life or culture and TV, there's always that main question. It's like, what is the reason for life? What is the reason for the universe? And well, I mean, if you seek really hard, it's basically right here. So first of all, keeping in mind that the beginning of their answer indicates that the creator is ultimately mystery. So that's how, even though you may know the reason for life, you don't really know the reason for life, if that kind of makes sense, because as you can see here, the reason for life is almost just free will. It's so that the creator can know itself. It's the creator is exploring itself, and it can only do that by creating free will, which is sort of like putting the veil over certain aspects of creation so that they can be free enough from the burden of knowing that they're complete oneness, and have that freedom to create whatever they feel is accurate, and some whatever they feel is in glory to the Creator, so that we may know ourselves better. Right? So that's sort of the general idea, I suppose, of the reason for the universe. But let's just sort of break each section down a little bit so we can just reflect on it a little bit more. So they first say, the first known thing in creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Okay, so this is me. I'm just going to explain to you, I guess, how I view this. I mean, I suppose I'm sort of a visual person in my mind, and so I like to see things in that way, and I realize that I should probably share what I'm visualizing with you. So the first known thing in creation is infinity. How do I view that? It's almost like the Matrix. It's almost like a complete blackness. It is infinite potential, right? So you can think of space, right? Like if you look at space, you look out at the stars, there's this infinity of blackness, and within this infinity of blackness, there is all these little dots of light. Okay, so I would just consider the blackness is essentially the infinite potential of where, like the soil. It's almost like the infinite soil, and then we can plant seeds within that soil, and the infinity then is sort of organized from chaos into stuff that makes sense, like light. So then let's continue on here. Infinity became aware. This was the next step. So this is sort of the most, I suppose, hard part to understand. How does something just individualize from itself? How does the Creator become aware? Like, how did that happen? So they say awareness led to the focus of infinity into infinite energy. You have called this by various sound complexes. The most common to your ears known as logos or love. So other people have described the word logos as truth, as love. So it's sort of like the underlying reason of the universe. It's like it's unconditional love. The Creator loves itself. It loves every part of its creation, and that is just a given no matter what. But the way I see this is that essentially you have the blackness of infinity, and something within that infinity thought for a brief moment in time, what if I, even just like, or what am I? And is there an I? What is I? Who am I? Who am I speaking to myself, right? Those kinds of questions, I assume, is almost what sparked the entire creation. It's this, if you're sitting in space and you had nothing to do, you'd be like, what am I? And what even is this that I is? And so immediately, immediately upon that thought, there's a free will created, and then the free will has this creative, the creative force works through free will, and then the free will sort of creates rhythms and harmonious, interactions between it, which then creates patterns, and those patterns create the dimensions and the physical universe, and light essentially creates the entire universe, and light is love, and love comes from infinity. So you can always work it back or forward, whichever direction you're going here, but this is sort of the idea here. And I just want to add in, there is an extra section that the questioner and Ra went into later about this part. I kind of left it out because they do it in steps, and then they added this later. So just to expand upon that concept, how does infinity become aware? How did it individualize from itself? So Ra answers, the intelligent infinity discerned a concept. This concept was discerned due to freedom of will of awareness. This concept was finity. This was the first and primal paradox or distortion of the law of one. Thus, the one intelligent infinity invested itself in an exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. Okay, so once again, this is them just explaining that the intelligent infinity discerned a concept. That concept was, what am I suppose, and what is I? And, immediately upon that, that is sort of like a exploration infinity, which is, instead of the infinite growth of everything, it is the small infinite the small finite measuring of things. It's an individual portion of creation which is sort of separated from the rest. However, it's not separated from the rest, in which I would like to talk about that, which they went into at the very end of the second last quote that I had read to you, and they indicate here where they create patterns in a holographic style. So this is what I was trying to explain to my friend last night about infinity and unity, and that is that every cell within creation, I say cell, what do you want to call it? Every point within creation contains the whole. So as they call it like a holographic projection of the one, no matter where you go in the universe, no matter where you are, that is the center, I suppose. It's funny, actually, I just put a new shirt, a new design in my the One Infinite Creator shop, which is the center is everywhere and the circumference is nowhere. And that's exactly the idea here of the holographic projection of the one. No matter where you are in the creation, the center is everywhere. And the circumference, like the outside of the circle, every time you go to measure that and say, okay, this is the edge of infinity. Well, infinity has already outgrown your definition of itself. So there's no way to define infinity. So if you're going to ever define anything or generalize or talk or really do anything, you're sort of exploring finity, right? Because if we were just being infinite all the time, we would just sit here in silence and just be in perfect harmony and love and being. But we're here, we've incarnated in third density, behind the veil, we're exploring infinity. We're essentially exploring what it is to be limited beings, even though that is just illusory, and in reality we are actually unlimited, infinite beings. Yeah, and actually I want to share what my friend told me. He was sharing his perception. So this is just a reminder that as you teach, you are teach learning, and as you learn, you are learn teaching, because I was trying to explain to my friend about oneness and unity last night, and then he went on to explain about how he sees the glass half full, half empty equation, and he actually is very wise about that. He says, whenever I see a glass half full or half empty, I don't see it half full or half empty. I just see the water within it and the potential for that water to, do whatever it needs to do. Like, it can do what I need it to do. I can use that water to be whatever, which is precisely the idea. It's that he's not measuring. He's not seeing, oh, well, this is only half of this. He's seeing the infinite whole within every point of creation. So even though you may only have half a glass, it doesn't matter. The whole thing is contained within each individual part of that water, and even the part where there is no water. Same. So yeah, I don't know. I like that. I thought I would share that with you. And then I will also add in here, just because we're talking about this and it's all related, is that Ra indicates that, sorry, I'm going to do this from memory, so it may not be exact, but it is let me think. It's something like, you can't define infinity. There is no definition for infinity, and because basically as soon as you've measured infinity, it's already outgrown your measurement. So there's no measurement that can include the infinite expansion of infinity. So basically they say, to talk about infinity, there is no referent or meaning. You would be better off to describe infinity as unity, which is that everything is one, no matter how big the universe gets, right? Like, say you have the Big Bang and it's exploded out and there's an infinity of creation just growing and growing and growing, and it gets bigger and bigger every day. You can measure that as much as you'd like, and it will just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is no referent or meaning to that measurement. So you're better off then to describe it as one. No matter how big it gets, the equation will always equal one. Everything still comes from that one infinity of creation, the creator, the background of infinity, which then may be sort of described as intelligent infinity. All right, so talking about the universe and the creation of the universe is a little intricate and obviously a little subjective in understanding. However, I hope that I communicated some of those subjective understandings half decently with this transmission, and I appreciate all your guys' listening. Like I said, the oneinfinitecreator.com, you can find all this information for free. I have links. I have a new little shop that I've set up there if you want to support. I appreciate the PayPal and donations and all my Patreon supporters. Infinite gratitude as I seek to expand my service with sort of conscious spiritual things. I'm trying to step out of my matrix job and to the best of my ability, offer you my services as freely as I can, and because I believe in freely giving and freely receiving, and with that, I give everything that I basically have for free, and then if anybody feels they want to reciprocate, great, and if not, I don't care. I appreciate, right? We're not measuring anything. To serve one is to serve all, so I love you guys no matter what. I'm just happy that we get to interact and communicate, either no matter what happens. Me being able to communicate to myself, this really helps my being. Having all this locked up inside me and not having anyone to share it with is actually kind of toxic to myself. I believe, Ross says, what is it to teach if one is not learning, and vice versa. So I really appreciate, doing this. It really helps me in developing myself as well. And I hope that you guys gain something from it. Just remember, use your discernment. It's always my opinion. Like they say here, the first distortion of the universe is free will. So that is always a fun thing and always to keep in mind, really at the forefront of your mind all the time. So thanks, guys, for listening. If you appreciate it, give us a like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. I read all the comments all the time. I may not have time to respond to all of them, but you'll find that maybe even a week or two later, I will eventually give you a response just because I have some downtime to do that. So thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, love you. See ya.